and get into Spidey, actually, since we got 5 people in here. So, off screen, between the last time that I was with you and now, it looked more like this. But like I said before, I was going to take out the like this black area, these buildings back here. I kind of had to go in and manually select all of that black. That selection looked like this. This was the selection. I had to trace all that stuff out. Once I did, I took it and colored it like a greenish color so that it kind of recedes back a little bit. So that's what it looked like normally, and that's what it looks like now. I also did the top of these domes like a little white color, so that maybe they're like kind of made out of glass or something. Yeah, so that's kind of where we're at right now, and I think I'm going to start to get into coloring the bikes back here and the teenagers in the car. A buddy of mine is going to grad school, and he was in my regular play group for Magic and all that kind of stuff. We played Magic and board games and things. And he is, we're doing like a going away gaming day. So I'm stoked for that, but I might have to cut the stream a little bit short because, we're going to be hanging out. Didn't I block all these guys out? Oh, right, but I screwed it up. Never mind. So yeah, we're gonna start to handle the police officers and the cars. I've said before that like I really like doing cars. Cars and chrome are just really fun. You know what? We're gonna do them one at a time rather than both at the same time because I think that might be a little bit easier on my mind. Trying to like juggle multiple vehicles is going to be kind of rough. So I'm going to start with just like putting a grad through the whole thing, except for the lights. We're going to keep the lights fairly normal, and we're going to put some highlights on them eventually. But so I'm just going to take like a dark red, maroon color, set it to multiply, and then drop it through there. And this is going to make like our highlights and stuff pop. It's going to give, the thing is going to get blasted with light. It's going to have like secondary, third light sources, things like that, because it's got lights going on all around it, like the lights in the buildings down here, and then the lights in the distance, and then this guy's shining lights, and then he's got lights of his own. It's like fucking totally bananas. And so I kind of wanted to give it just like and maybe bottom to top, maybe we should have flipped it because Spider-Man's lit from below, so maybe we should flip it actually. So I just want to give him like an overall feel of like the direction of the light before we start to get into it. And we're going to be, since he's so dark now, we're going to be actually adding in value that's going to be lighter. We're going to be working dark to light, which is not something I do a whole lot, but I've been doing more and more lately. I think that it benefits an artist going dark to light rather than light to dark, especially if it's a night scene, because then you end up with like most of it being dark, obviously. So let's get into it. Let me move this a little bit away from my head so it's not all up ons. So yeah, we're gonna play some hopefully today we're gonna play. I'm gonna bring Clank, which is awesome, and if you haven't played Clank, you should. And I'm gonna bring my MTG multiplayer cube that's built for multiplayer and has like a bunch of like, I don't know, just like, it's not a serious cube, you know, like you're not supposed to take it seriously. It's built kind of to just have like weird interactions, and has like all these kinds of like all the cards that let you crack packs and stuff like that. Like Stalking Tiger, not the holiday card, the Christmas Stalking Tiger, that comes into play with like a pack of cards underneath it and stuff like that. Booster Tutors in there. Unfortunately, no Arabian Nights boosters to play with, even though real men use Arabian Nights boosters. Yeah, so I'm excited to play with that if we decide to go that route. But I'm also bringing Red Dragon in, so we're gonna have a good time. So I gotta figure out what kind of color we're like. Obviously, we want to keep the bikes and the guys all warm. Hey, Chops. I want to keep the bikes and the teenagers all warm because like Deadpool's probably gonna be a little, or Deadpool, Spider-Man is going to be a little colder because he's in blue. So let's keep that dynamic going. Let's select like a red and see how this looks. We're going to set it to screen and just kind of like pop it. Yeah, pop it in there. And then we're going to select that color, which is like this orangey kind of thing, and just try to amp it up. So this is like kind of like the first light source on the thing, and we're going to, because it's metal, we're gonna put like a really hard highlight on it. The thing about like chrome and the reason why I like rendering it is because you can do a whole lot of like really intense hard light sources, and it's just like, it turns out like the deeper, the more intense you go, like the better off you are. So you make all these like kind of crazy shapes on these things, and it like, I don't know, it pays off. It looks cool. So we're just gonna try to do that. Yeah, so I'm hoping to play some MTG multiplayer cube if we get enough people there. I've never played it with a full 8. I think it's like really tough to get a full 8 Magic players all together in the same place, but I'd love to try that. We also packed Red Dragon in, which is a drinking game with, but you don't drink. It's just like about drinking. We played a lot on the Boix's stream, or we used to. I haven't actually played his game day. He on Sundays he does like board game days, on stream, and I used to play a lot, but I haven't played a lot lately. I should probably get back to that. So I'm just trying to like, here's the thing too with Chrome. So I'm putting in like kind of like hard highlights and stuff, and we're kind of lighting it from the top, kind of. Like I said, there's gonna be like light hitting this thing like from everywhere. So we're gonna put like a secondary light source, like a little bounce light on the car here. In the darkness, what would be like the most intense shade down here, we're gonna tint it with some light, and let's try blue, but I don't know if blue's gonna work that well. Blue works okay, but maybe green will work a little better. Green works a little better. So the reason that the green works a little better is because blue's opposite orange on the color wheel, like I was saying the last stream, and because it's opposite on the color wheel, it just kind of turns to gray. and that's not what we want. So we can move from blue, we can move to like a greenish color, or we can move to like a purplish color. And maybe we should move purple because it's different from Spider-Man. So like this is kind of like a purplish color, but maybe it's gotta be a little lighter. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, so that like this is starting to look good. So we're getting like the fender, and then the like, I don't even know what this, like the hood. I guess this is the hood. It's a weird, crazy, magical future device. So yeah, we're and then now I'm just kind of like adding in some highlights here and there. So yeah, I'm excited to game today. I haven't gone to I haven't been able to board game in a while. Although off stream, the Boyks and I played, and Fish hide the ants. Hide the ants. I don't know what that is. Oh, you mean the lasso stuff? I think I've just been doing it like sometimes I hide if I'm like unsure. If I'm unsure and like I'm like looking at the color and trying to figure it out, then I will hide them. But most of the time with stuff like this, like little selections, I don't even bother. And like once you zoom in, like we're pretty zoomed in right now. You can see like some of it is like overlapping in weird ways. Like this is a little outside of the box, and like I'm fixing this stuff right now because I'm talking about it, but normally this stuff doesn't really need to be fixed. It's like I'm admittedly like Matt Wilson is a little tighter with these kinds of things than I am, but I find that they don't really need to be fixed. It depends on like the artist that you're coloring, but by and large, mostly it doesn't need it. So we're just gonna pop some color in there. Yeah, the marching ants are not really a big deal for me, because like I know what the selection's going to look like because I'm making the selection, and I have all the experience of all the other selections that I've made throughout my lifetime. Yeah, so it's not a big deal. So like this tech is kind of neat under the car here. And we're just adding highlights. And we want to make like him the focus, so like we can go crazy on the highlights. When I was doing the buildings in the back, I wanted to keep like, except for like the highlights of the lights, like this kind of stuff in here. The shades. I don't know what's going on with me today. I'm struggling to talk. The shades between like the light and the dark are like pretty close to each other. And that kind of like makes you not focus. It like adds like a texture but makes you not focus on them. For over here, we want to make the shades far away from each other. Really high highs, really low lows, and we're gonna get there. A lot of this too, like we're gonna be knocking out the line art and like adding some special effects. This thing is gonna be covered in special effects by the time we're done with it. I don't know if we're gonna get there today, but we're gonna try. What time is it now? 2:15? We're probably not gonna get there today, but it's all right. We'll finish it tomorrow. Everything takes longer than I think it's going to. Oh, the selection lines make it harder. No, you know, like, I don't know. When I was like trying to figure out what the right color was, I wasn't really looking at the colors around it. I was just looking at the color I was putting down. So, like when I put that green in there, and this is also like, you know, I just know from experience that like I had a hunch that the blue was going to be kind of bad, but I kind of wanted to see what it was. And then when I put it in there, I was like, oh, that isn't what I want. you know? Like, it was easy for me to say, oh, that's just not what I want to be doing. So, and I think that also with the bike here, so we're doing bottom top light source, and so like this guy's going to be in shadow more than the rest of the bike. So I think what we're going to try to do is a little interesting technique where we're going to shade like the whole side of this, or put highlights over the whole side of this, and then leave this mostly in the dark. And that's just to like make it feel more like a 3D object. The stuff that he's like overlapping with is going to fall back, and the stuff that is coming towards us is going to fall forward. So, sup, boys? I was just saying how we played some Harry Potter TCG. And I really enjoyed it. I really want to build a Harry Potter cube, to be honest. I think I'm gonna get a couple of booster boxes of old Harry Potter TCG, and I might crack them on stream. I need those hollow foils. That 10-year-old dead TCG. Yeah. The thing is like too. So Books and I played the Harry Potter TCG, and it still gets played at Gen Con, which is really neat. I was focused. Sorry. I didn't want to lose my train of thought. I'm thinking about like the light source hitting this thing, hitting the rest of the bike. So yeah, the old TCG is actually really interesting. We were drafting it kind of like Magic players would approach a draft of it, and I think I made a lot of choices that I wouldn't normally make if I was going to play it again. It has this weird mechanic where you get actions, so you get 2 actions a turn, and so you draw your card for the turn, you get 2 actions, and then that's your turn, and you can use those actions to you can draw another card if you want. You can use an action to play a like lesson from your hand, which is like the lands in Magic the Gathering, and then so you can just go turn 1 2 lands, turn 2 2 lands, and then like turn 3 drop a 5-drop, drop 2 5-drop, or a 5-drop in a land, or like 2 4-drops or something like that. So it ramps in a really like interesting way, and I think it also fixes one of the common complaints in Magic, which is with new players, which is like, oh well, I just didn't get any lands, so I just can't win, like my draw was bad. What happened in here? This should not look like this. This is a really weird space that I just totally missed. Because you can like sit there and like you draw your hand, and then you can be like, I'm just gonna draw 3 cards. The World of Warcraft TCG is on there. Oh man, you got the Star Trek TCG. Oh yeah, huh? Oh yeah, you play them upside down, right? You flip them over. So like every card in your deck is either a spell or a land. Yeah, I don't know how this little gap like kind of got away from me. Well, that's all right. We'll fix it. All right, there we go. Fixed. That looks so strange. Cause we don't like. Here's why this looks strange. The art like has this bike that has this weird shape to it, right? And this is why I missed this thing. So the bike has a weird like U shape, upside down U shape here. But we don't see that shape in this bike or in this bike back here, because these bikes are both straight on. So like this is our only information for that shape, and it's covered by Spider-Man's foot. So now this just looks fucking weird. I don't know what to. I might just color that like a panel on the bike, just because it looks so strange. But it's been 2 decades, yeah. I mean, a lot of these TCGs, I feel like, if it wasn't Magic, it just didn't survive for like the longest time. Let's see if I can push these guys back a little by brightening them up. Nope, that's not gonna work. All right, we're just gonna table that weird space for now. Yeah, for the longest time, if it wasn't Magic, it wouldn't survive. Now it's like there's freaking blood in the water, like Hearthstone, Eternal, Elder Scrolls Legend. Like, all the companies are realizing that like Magic doesn't have their shit together as much as they used to, and they can't make a digital card game to save their lives. So they're like, oh, we can get in on this. And this, I'm just kind of like gesturing stuff in, but now there's no rhyme or reason. What I want you to look at is like the front of the bike more than the back of the bike, because eventually I want you to look at him, and that's where he is. So I want to create like an arrow. So we're gonna do that, and I'm gonna kind of block it off over here, which is why there's highlights over here. But let's use this orange rather than using pink. But yeah, I never played the Star Trek TCG. I never really got into Star Trek, to be honest. I tried watching the Next Generation. Has a hoof. Ugh. I tried watching Star Trek The Next Generation, and I just like couldn't get into it. I don't know what it was. It was like, it was just way too slow. Like, I usually really like slow things because I can sit here and yeah, it's a little hoof like. You're not supposed to look at it like this though, you know? Like, this isn't don't look at how I live. Don't look at how Spider-Man lives. Yeah, I usually like slow things, but the Spider-Man TCG. Is there a Spider-Man TCG? I don't know. The Star Trek show, like, the pilot is just so slow for The Next Generation, and I found myself, like, if something's like too slow, I find myself like doing other things, like procrastinating rather than sitting here working. If it's entertaining, like, I'll sit here in the chair and work. That's why I end up watching like a fuck ton of things. But yeah, couldn't do it with Star Trek. But would try the TCG just because I like TCGs. Although I haven't been playing many lately. I'm trying to get back into Eternal, and I don't know what it is. I just can't. I don't know. It was so long since like I played Eternal, and there was a Marvel TCG in 2004. Ooh. An original series game that was not good at all? Huh. Man, Marvel TCG from 2004. Is that on the so a lot of like the dead card games and stuff, like the only way to like really play it online is through Tabletop Simulator, and I wonder if that's on. Is that on Tabletop Simulator? Because that might be kind of fun to play. But yeah, excited to crack the Magic Cube today. Hopefully, we'll see how it goes. The cube is built to crack packs. In addition to being a cube, it's got 3 cards that crack packs, and so I have like Modern Masters packs, Eternal Masters packs. What other packs are in there? Like Future Sight pack, stuff with like high valuable the 1992 trading cards. I don't know why you need trading cards in a game. Like, there's no function to that. Yeah, I definitely have some. I have some right over there. The trading cards from '92. My dad actually, when he was going through the childhood home, he was looking for stuff to throw out. And was asking if like we wanted stuff from like our childhood and stuff like that, and most of it's junk, but he gave me a stack of cards, and I was like, these are actually kind of neat. I kind of want to make some trading cards for a couple of projects that I'm working on right now and sell them at conventions, because I think those are like cool throwbacks. Alright, so this is starting to look good. Starting to look like chrome. We're going to take this pink and put it in here. So it's kind of like reflected light in the vent or whatever. So there's like a little jet thing here too, huh? So this jet part, and the reason that I visually ignored it, and I'm sorry I worked so zoomed out. Like, I just realized that like I've been trying to like not work this far out, because even though this is how I normally work, you guys can't really see that, so I'm sorry. The reason that I kind of didn't see the jet back here is because it should, like the other end of the bike, it should like kind of like push back. I want like this to be rendered brighter than that thing, because it's closer to the viewer. So we're not going to try to go too crazy on it. Maybe even that's like too much. Maybe we'll take a darker tone and put a shadow on it instead. And this doesn't have to be like totally perfect, because like I said, it's supposed to be ignored more than anything. We'll pop the number on this, because that's kind of neat, and it's built to be like, seen, the text on the side of a vehicle. So let's make it seen. Taking a white and just kind of like putting it into the lights down here. Yeah, so like the bike is like practically done. We're gonna do a little bit of shading or a little bit of highlights in the back, but not too many. Cave Carson trading cards. Unfortunately, I would love to do I wanted to do Cave Carson trading cards with like power levels and stuff like that, because like this is the thing, they're all like normal people, so like the power levels would all be really low, and I thought that was kind of funny. But I asked DC if like, because I don't want to piss off DC, and they want to protect their intellectual property. I was gonna do trading cards and some pins, like a cybernetic eye pin and like the old Showcase Cave Carson logo, but DC was like, well, we embrace fandom and like all these kinds of things, but we only really allow prints. So Cave Carson prints are coming for next year's Comic-Con season, but unfortunately no trading cards, no pins. A lot of that kind of stuff, when it's not creator owned, you can't, your options are limited. You're hamstrung by whatever the company wants to do. unfortunately, because I don't own Cave Carson. As much as I feel like Cave Carson is like my baby and mine, he is not mine. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's fine. It is what it is. It's the reality of like intellectual property. So I wonder if we can. I want to do like like a highlight like that, and then maybe kind of like bring it up, dial it up just a little. Yeah, just like some shines. But Jeremy Hahn and I are working on a book called The Realm, and we actually are we have a lot of plans for stuff that you can pick up at cons or maybe an online store that you can't normally get. So for like fans who are like super fans. So, and since we own that, since it's going to be an image book, we can do whatever the hell we want, which is nice. All right, so the way Rick drew the speeder here, the bike, he kind of added a reflected light back here. So we're gonna do it like a blue green, and add some reflected light into the edge of this thing. And this kind of has to look. The reason I'm using the lasso on a lot of this stuff too, is that it needs to look robotic. It needs to look like constructed. I can't freehand stuff that looks like that because I'm not a robot. So we are just going to like this kind of evenness to the line that I just put in would not be able to happen if I was freehanding it. So, but we're going to put, like you can see in the shadow that he put on this, that like one side's lit, this is the darkest it gets, and then this is another highlight. So, we're just going to roll with that. We're gonna not work against what Rick Leonardi drew, or potentially Al Williamson inked. So. We're putting like a little green kind of like light source in the back here. And he did it over here too, so we have full disclosure to just go crazy. So, and we can do it on the back of the bike too. We want to like do it over the whole thing so that it all makes sense. Sorry, I'm like focused, which is why I'm not talking. Yeah, so yeah, bike's starting to look good. It's got that green, it's got that pink, but it's like mostly orange. Like orange is the color that the bikes were in 2099, and so orange is the color that I made them in Deadpool 2099, which is out August 16th, which is tomorrow, I believe. You guys should check it out. So this works fine for now. We're gonna add some like shines on the chrome and stuff when we get to the point where we are going to put like special effects and stuff like that in. We can actually get rid of the line art on the 6. Oop. We missed the inside of the 6. Yeah, so it looks like more painted on than drawn on. All right, let's do the cop here, and we're gonna treat him like the same way as the bike. We're gonna just kind of add in highlights and see what happens from there. I'm gonna take this red actually. Kind of like put it in for the seat. I am on the black channel. Put it in for the seat. That thing that just happened never happened. I'm a professional. Don't worry about it. Speaking of professionals, Rico reached out to me, and he was in the chat last time, and he was saying that he was interested in streaming some comics as well. So look for him in the future because he's a good dude. I think I might try to have him on. Here when we're working sometime soon. I want to try to. I know that like I have Marissa on, who's another up and coming colorist who's very, very talented. And I want to try to have more, people on here, so it's just not me just rambling. Give me a second. Sorry, someone's on the phone in the other room on speakerphone, and it was super distracting. I couldn't make words and thoughts appear in my mind. Yeah, I mean, I'll ramble all day, but just to like change it up a little, yeah, just to change it up a little, we'll have some people on, because I really liked that stream that we did with Marissa, and the Boyks came on too, and both those streams I think were really good. So we gotta warm this guy. I mean, all right. So I know I said we want to keep them like blue. Half of streaming is rambling. Yeah. Yeah, co-op stream I think is super fun. And I feel like too, when like, with this kind of thing, all I do is sit here and talk, like this isn't fast paced, exciting, whatever. I don't even know, like fast paced, exciting gameplay. I'm just like, oh, we're going to noodle some color around and eventually this will be a thing, So I think that having someone on just to like chat at is going to be nice too. So I know that we're going to keep Spider-Man blue, but I just wanted to like throw a blue grad through this guy because I want him to read as a police officer. So he needs to be at least a little bit blue. Even though like in the 2099 universe, it's all like corporation controlled. These guys are not actual police. I think they're like corporate police officers. And that the regular police don't exist anymore. The far future. So we're gonna, so what happened just here? What happened? What the fuck happened? We took his base color, which is like this mauve-y purple. Carl Jr.'s police force. Fucking Carl's Jr. They're all sexy bikini girls eating hamburgers. The Carl's Jr. police force, least effective police force ever. So we took he's like this purpley color. We took a blue and screened it through the figure, kind of amp up the highlights. But like, and that kind of made him more blue, which is good because that's what we wanted to convey. But blue light isn't hitting him like a pinkish light is. So the pinkish light is hitting the bike. So now I'm taking a pink and just kind of going in and adding like highlights. Now the pink is interacting with the blue and the mauve in a way where like it's turning white on parts that are like closer to the highlight, and turning bright pink on the stuff that's the shadows. So the way that this is turning out is like, you know, we're still retaining the blue where the blue is. It's like turning into a white. And then where the blue isn't, we're getting that pink light. So it kind of like all interacts really well. And that's partly because we're really in just like one little corner of the color wheel. Got there eventually. So this guy's starting to look good. We're gonna add that same green into what he's got going on. This might be too intense of a green, but we can scale it down if it's looking too weird. Because he's got that same lighting effect going on where he's like, you know, has like a core shadow in like the middle of his body, so he's got like bounce light happening. Yeah, this is starting to look good. This is starting to look more like 2099 and less like the original, which was a little bit hamstrung by the times. Yeah, I was gonna crap on the original, but I don't want to do that because, you know, even though this is obviously gonna look better than the original, it's just the time that it was made. It was limited resources. They don't have the full horsepower of Photoshop, so let's not crap on them. Let's celebrate old comics. Plus, like vintage old comics kind of have a vibe that I think is really interesting. It's tough to replicate. I was actually in one of the stories that I'm working on right now. Deadpool goes back in time to a moment that happened in the 70s, and I was thinking about making Deadpool colored like modern coloring, the aesthetic that's going on right now, and then make everything else colored in like this zip toned old style coloring, but it didn't end up working quite well enough. The artist, you know, which is not his fault, he just like didn't draw it that way. He wasn't thinking about that. So I kind of had to roll with what he put down more than being able to like do my own thing. Are millennials killing Spider-Man 29? I hope not. I hope the 2099 universe flourishes well past 2099. I hope that the bike is looking sick, by the way. Yeah, I'm really happy with it. We're gonna be doing a bunch of special effects on it, but let's move to the other bike for now. And I don't even know if we're gonna touch this guy back here. Yeah, I hope that the 2099, as I say, as I start to tinker on this guy back here, that the 2099 universe sticks around past the year 2099, and then it starts to like turn into like a vintagey comic, like in, you know, 2199, 2099 comics are still being made and they all look super vintagey and old. I would love that. That would be perfect. I will not be alive to see that. Put my head in a jar. I want to see it. You know, if comic books are still a thing in 2199. This guy is like kind of gestured in, so that's all we're doing too. Yeah, we're like done. Yeah, that guy was super easy. And you know, we don't want to put a ton of time into this guy back here anyway, because he is very tiny. And the less detail you put in him, the less focus he's going to have, the more he's going to look like he fades into the background. Photoshop's crazy. Like, the reason that I work zoomed out a lot is because the horsepower of Photoshop is such that I can get in to like these little nooks and crannies and like just noodle shit for days, and nobody will see it, you know? It'll be kind of like you know, totally lost in like the printing process, and then when people actually hold it in their hands, the scale will be so small that it won't matter. So I'm used to working like this size because I'm working on the stuff that can actually be seen, and if I work like this size, I'm going to start noodling around on the, you know, stuff that doesn't matter. It's kind of like I just kind of eventually fell into a size that was applicable for speed more than anything, so that I don't get sucked into doing stuff that doesn't matter. All right, so now we're working on this bike. Does this bike look different than the other bike? Kind of. A little bit. This is kind of like the bottom of the bike. And then there's wheels here. Are there wheels on this? I guess there are wheels on this. Here, we can quickly turn these into wheels. A little purple. A little purple. It's like they're wheels, but they're like stripes. I don't know. There's like a weird visual fucking jazz to that's happening right now. Like, technology, what is it? I don't know. It's about the notes that we're not playing. Fuck. Comic books. So, let's click the monitor back up and select the bike here and do the same thing we were doing here, where we throw a shadow through the whole thing, and kind of figure it out. Actually, this guy, these like little doodads were not flatted by the flatter. Oh, my brush is weird. Dual brush smoothing, turn that shit off. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, so these things are not flatted by the flatter, which is fine. The flatter had a lot on his table with this page. I can do these little doodads. But we want to make them like a regular little tech thing. Yeah, that looks fine. Alright, so yeah, like I said before, we're just going to select it. We're going to do the same method we did with the first bike, where we select everything, the officer, all of it, and throw a grad into the whole figure, set to multiply. So if you look at like this bike, what we ended up with, darker on the top, lighter on the bottom, that's because we threw the grad in. When we did a grad of like dark to light, it kind of like shaped how we were going to handle the rest of the figure. We worked very broad to very specific. And then we went in from there and added all the shadows, or all the highlights into the front of the bike. So that way the front of the bike popped out even further than just the grad. So we're going to do the same exact thing. Although we don't want to select any of the lights. The lights stay same. And it's going to look kind of weird, maybe, because he's like leaning forward, but we'll shape it out. It's going to be kind of like just molding it eventually to where we want it. All right, so we had a grad set to multiply, and that might be a little too dark. That's okay. Yeah, that's all right. And oh, we missed it in between the fingers there. We're not selecting anything else. No. Thank you, Boix. Enjoy your lunch. All right. Yeah. So this also creates like the dark red interacting with the orange of the bike, like creates this like really deep orange that's really nice. It's a good color, and I feel like when you get something like that, when you get like a nice color, you got to embrace it. So let's put the highlights into this guy. This guy's looking a little bit more complicated than the other bike. The reason for that is that it's kind of like head-on foreshortened, and the other bike is just kind of like there, you know, it's like a 3/4 view. So we want to make the bike look as consistent as we can with the other hover bike. So we're gonna take this orange, set it to screen, and start popping in some highlights. So it's lit from the bottom, so we're gonna try to embrace that. And I'm just trying to visualize how it would look lit from the bottom. Obviously, the artist, whether it was Rick or Al, kind of like did like a gestury like thing up here, where it kind of fades. But the thing about Chrome, man, it doesn't fade; it just stops. So we are going to try to do the edge of this guy. Basically what I'm trying to do, what I'm thinking about is not only like how would the highlight look on the bike, but also like how we can make the silhouette a little more legible, because this, for everything that's well drawn on this page, I don't know if this bike is necessarily, it's not well drawn, but it's like, it's just like a little bit hard to read visually because it's not an object that we know. Like, I'm sure if it was like he was riding a giant like loaf of bread, we'd be like, oh, look at that loaf of bread. But he's riding this like future bike, and we don't really know what a future bike looks like. Like, he kind of does in his head, so he's like, oh, I'll just draw it foreshortened in the front, and it just looks like a weird pile of shapes, you know? So we're going to try to make it not look like a weird pile of shapes. And we're going to do, we're going to throw the grad through the whole thing to try to give us a good like starting point for everything. And part of the reason why I'm a little quieter right now is because I'm also trying to decipher what these weird piles of shapes are. I'm like, it's taking a lot of brain power to figure it out. It's kind of a weird thing. And then like, this is also very, very strange. The this like jet wheel, I guess they're wheels. I thought they were jets. They're not, but they're also like, I don't know, they have like that other light source happening on them, so I can't really get into that section. And we can kind of put a little highlight there, put one there, and we're going to deselect the hand. So the selections within the hand are not that big of a deal right now. Yeah, so we're just kind of imagining it lit from the bottom, and we're grabbing like all the places where there's highlights. And obviously this guy in the back. So this is part of the reason why I was like, it looks like a massive pile of shapes that are just kind of there, is that like, I don't know, like, I guess that is this part, the weird like fin in the back, so I'm like, this should not come as forward as this part, which is going to be a problem, but we'll fix it. We'll get there. So I just deselected all the selection in the hand. I'll back up actually a little bit because that's kind of an important thing. So when I was selecting these pieces, and we can do a little bit more actually. What's up, Kate? Kate is also an artist, and you should follow her if you're into this stuff. She does some painting on her stream. Yeah, so I didn't worry about like cutting into the hand, because with one click we can go, okay, wand, and then if you hold Alt, you like deselect it, we're done. Now we've gotten out of like what was going on with the hand. Perfect, easy. So we're gonna do the highlight over here, and I think that what we're gonna do to try to pop the silhouette is try to use, we're gonna do like a base highlight, and then we're like we did over here, we did like a base highlight, and then we did this kind of like, you know, hard like white highlight, and that's gonna help to accentuate the shapes as well. And I kind of don't know if we should even bother with this side like we did with the last one. We maybe just like on the edge here. Like that kind of works. And we can do like on the underside. It kind of flips the script a little bit over here, because we're casting up from the bottom, which means we're going to get this and not the inside of the like weird jet vent. So let's kind of embrace that. So we're just gonna highlight the lip, because even though this is like 2 lines, the like actual jet part is like 2 lines here, it's still gonna have a third dimension to it. You know, it's still gonna have this is like kind of hard to describe, but it's still gonna, even though it's just line, it's still gonna have like, you know, a backside, and it's still gonna have like a folded, like a piece of cardboard has an edge to it. And so even though you would draw that piece of cardboard like with 2 lines, we're gonna put that edge to it in the color. And that's what we're gonna try to do with these highlights. And the edge is actually drawn back here, but then like disappears up here. So it's a good opportunity to like do this kind of thing. It's gonna look nice. All right, so I think that's kind of where we want to be for the shadow for the vehicle. And then we're just gonna throw the grad through the whole thing and kind of like work it from there. Obviously we're gonna try to push this way back though, because it should be further back visually from the vehicle. It should not, that's like the furthest point of the vehicle. All right, so you see like we kind of continued that edge all the way around the thing. Kind of ended up working well. So we're gonna take, even though this part might be lit just as bright as the front of the car and receive just as much you know, light and that sort of thing, because it is flying in space, and you know, like it's not that far back that we need to be like, oh, we'll use some atmospheric perspective. You know, like that isn't true, but we need to make it like visually readable. So we're gonna do that by just taking the same color that we had for the grad that we put in originally, And that kind of pushes it back. So now it's like readable, like this is the front and this is the weird tail in the back. And we're going to amp that up as we go here. But for now, let's work on the front of this thing. So Chrome has this like weird kind of like ability to kind of put these like very strange shapes into the molding. And so we're going to use that to kind of like I said, pop the silhouette a little bit, make it readable. And this is all I'm doing is like throwing a screen grad in there. And we're going to take it and kind of just like carve it out a little bit so that it gets like nice and thin. We're going to take like this guy, carve this guy out a little bit, and just kind of like work it until it looks like it should be normal, you know? Work it until it looks believable. And we're going to put some hard highlights on that as well. And like I said, with the edge over here, we're doing it over here too. So yeah, we're just lightening up the shapes that are here. You know what? Maybe that's smarter. Maybe we gotta go back. So I put the highlight up here thinking like the thing kind of like bubbles, you know? Thinking like the highlight would be here, but maybe the highlight would actually be on the lip of like where the engine and the motor are instead. So we're gonna try to go back and fix that by eliminating that hard highlight and then creating a hard highlight on the lip rather than, yeah, now we're cooking with gas. Something that's happening right now that I think is worth talking about is that we're creating a tangent where there wasn't. I mean, there's a little bit of one. Like, what I'm saying is that like this line, this highlight over the thing is now like bumping into the top of his fingertip, and like this shadow kind of does that a little bit too. But it's gonna look like he's like weirdly touching the like bike a little bit, like with a giant hand, if we keep that tangent in there, because we're creating like essentially we're creating a line. And I know that like line artists and inkers think about this stuff. You know, if you draw somebody and they're standing on the bottom of the panel, like their bottoms of their feet tangent with the panel border, it's not very good. If somebody's like reaching for something off panel and then there's a countertop that is like the same thickness as his arm, it's gonna look like his arm is extending into the countertop. It's gonna look fucking weird. This is like the kind of things that you want to avoid. The lines like interact with each other in weird ways in sequential art and all art, and so we want to try to not do that. So we're gonna as much as I like wanted to put like a weird shine through the whole thing, like we might not be able to. Yeah, see, and like I toned down the line there, so now it looks a little bit better. It's still kind of like competing with that. Like I think that's just like, I don't know, maybe just not something that was great in the line art originally, but who am I to say? You know, like, people have deadlines. People make mistakes. This could have been like, you know, rendering the spot black in the top of that thing is like the last thing you do, and you're tired and you're not thinking straight, and I don't know. Maybe you're thinking a word balloon's gonna go over there. Fucking who knows. So getting back to this, we're just putting in highlights. So yeah, we played some Harry Potter TCG. I was talking about it earlier, and I think I'm going to crack some Harry Potter cards on stream, the old TCG, because I made a tabletop mod of it forever ago from like just whatever I could find on the internet. But trying to find high resolution cards for a card game that died over 10 years ago is really, really difficult. And I was kind of just like, I was stuck with whatever I could find. And I think the mod came out, it's like definitely playable. And anything that looked funny or weird, I just used a text tool and kind of redid the text to make it legible so that it could be at least playable. Maybe we can do like a weird, like little. Yeah, now we're cooking. All right. Yeah, so some of the cards are not very high resolution. Some of them have like watermarks on them. Actually, eBay was like one of the best places I found for finding scans, because people would think, not with like commons and uncommons, but with rare cards, people would be like, oh, I'm going to make $1 million. I'm going to put this Harry Potter card on eBay, you know? So I got to put high resolution scans up because people are going to want to see the card quality of this thing. So leave it to people's greed to like really help me out. But anyway, there's sets that like or cards specifically, you know, commons and uncommons, that I feel like just don't look as good as they can. So I was thinking about getting a couple boxes and streaming, just like chilling out, cracking packs. Not actually doing the scans and everything for the tabletop mod, because that stuff's boring. But like, just, you know, chilling out, cracking packs, talking Harry Potter, you know, whatever. Boyko who was here earlier, the Boykes. So what I just did here was I found that I kept like running into the hand. So I selected the hand and then went to select inverse. So that way we can freely color this thing. Whoops, I just bumped the shit out of the mic. Sorry. I wanted to hide the little crawling ants that Z was talking about before. Just because they're gonna be a pain in the butt. So yeah, so I hid the line art, or hid the selection. And this way, like, I won't, you know, I can go like, I fucked it. Hold on, I gotta move this thing before I. What's up, Zach? I was working on your cat a little bit today. I'm gonna chip away at it. So like, that's the selection. And now we can, you know, put all the highlights we want in there. But let's hide it. Yeah, I'm not I'm a colorist, not an artist, so, you know, you're gonna have to bear with me. So yeah, now we can freely put the highlights in. We don't have to worry about getting into the hand. And we're putting in some like freaking hard highlights. Let's chill it for a second. God. But yeah, I'm gonna try to do like a colorful, textury. I mean, like, it's an icon, so I mean, I don't have to go too crazy, you know. But I'm gonna have some fun with it. With the cat drawing. I was kind of just warming up with it today. And it is 3:11, and my thing that I have to go to is at 4. So I think after we finish this bike, it might be, we might have to just work on Spider-Man and the kids in the car tomorrow. And if you guys are digging this, you should check out Deadpool 2099. That's coming out. The trade paperback's coming out tomorrow for New Comic Book Day. So if you're far in the future checking out the VOD or this on YouTube, it's already out. You're in the future. Congratulations. You're a 2099 man yourself. Yeah, you're right. It kind of lends itself to being cartoony already. So I'm just going to try to like use it as an excuse to use some brushes that I don't normally use. It'll be fun. It's like already half done because it's pretty simple. I'm already getting like a little less precious with this end of the bike. Is that too much? That might be too much. We might be off the rails. There's like too much going on in here. I actually think that this would be mostly shadow. So let's just do that. That's looking better already. We overworked it. As I say, as we go back in and overwork it. Yeah, it only really needed like a little kind of thing in there. So now it's got it. It only needed one tone, and I was putting like 8 in. And this guy needs to be way narrower. Tech looks good. You just watched Batman and Harley Quinn? Yeah, the DC movies, I feel like the little animated movies they make, I was watching them for a while, but then I kind of hit this point where I was like, they aren't ever as good as I want them to be, which is like, I want Batman the Animated Series level of quality, and even fucking anything that happens now, I feel like isn't at that level of quality. Like it's not DC's fault. It's not the animator's fault. It's just that bar is so fucking high that I have for that kind of thing. And I wouldn't begrudge anybody that's into that stuff. Be into what you're into. It's just not for me. With tech, like the more kind of like skinny and narrow highlights and stuff are, the more sleek it looks, the more like high tech it looks. So that's why I'm kind of like putting in these lines and then kind of like paring, like just kind of like, I don't know, paring them down a little bit. Nothing gonna be Batman the Animated Series. Tell me about it. Yeah, Batman the Animated Series is like pretty much the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing now. I saw it when I was in high school, and I had read comics before I had watched Batman the Animated Series, you know, like when I was a littler kid. Like this came out long before Batman the Animated Series, and I really liked it as a kid. But at some point along the way in like middle school or end of regular school, I kind of just put comics down for a while. Just had other interests, as little kids do. Got into like, you know, D&D and stuff like that more than comics. And then Batman the Animated Series came along, and I was like, holy shit, you can do that with comic books? Like, you can tell these kinds of stories with comic books? And then even though it's, you know, not comic books. And then at the time, the comics that were coming out for Batman were No Man's Land, where Gotham has the earthquake. I don't know if you guys have read that at all, but the No Man's Land books were so good. Gotham has this giant quake, and it's the government decides that Gotham is like beyond fixing, so they just like quarantine it off and the people that live in there. So, and like, you know, the Batcave is like fucking destroyed, and so Batman's like trying to like, you know, keep order in this place without order, and everyone's like, you know, overworked, and it follows, you know, all the Bat books were taking place in Gotham, so like they were all going through this, and it was a really amazing run. Actually, one of the people who did one of the stories in that book, in that series, it was this story about Batgirl defending a gas station from being attacked, because like it was like I can't even remember why the gas station was being attacked, but for whatever reason the gas station was being attacked, and Batgirl had to defend it. I haven't read this series in like, God, at least 10 years. Batgirl's defending the gas station. Gas station's getting attacked. And it was a really great story. I remember it because it like sticks out as like one of the better like little tales, little like one-offs. And it was written by Janet Harvey, who wrote Angel City, a book that we worked on together about a stunt woman in Hollywood in like the, you know, golden age of Hollywood in like the 40s or 30s even, who's trying to solve a murder of her friend. But it was neat because it was like, you know, she did that for a while. She did comics for a while, Janet, and then she started doing film. And then she came back to comics, and she was like, I want to do like an Oni book, and I have this story, and then like I got hooked up with that, and I was like, oh no shit, like I loved your Batgirl story. So that was like kind of neat. Comics have like a weird way of rewarding you the longer that you're there for. The more you find out, the more you love, kind of thing. Yeah, I love comics. So we've kind of done all that we're going to do as far as the shade or the orange shades on this guy. So let's kind of go in and start putting the green ones in. I would have put like some pink in there, but there isn't a whole lot of room to do that, to be perfectly honest. A lot of the real estate that the pink was on would be like on the sides here, but we can't really get into there because it's foreshortened and it's coming right at us. So, but the artist did draw the secondary light source on the sides here, so let's just get into that. And it's actually going to be bigger than it is normally on the other one because we're seeing more of that side than we are on the other bike. But yeah, you guys should pick up No Man's Land if you haven't already and you're a Batman fan. It's pretty damn good. I think there was like another recent quake that happened in Gotham. I don't know for sure. I've been out of the game for a while as far as like picking up regular superhero books. Not that you shouldn't, or I would fault anyone for picking up superhero books because they're fun as well. Actually, that's a lie because I picked up Batman for New 52 for a while, as well as Animal Man and Swamp Thing, and I just picked up Mr. Miracle, so I don't even know why I'm saying that. And by the way, so tomorrow's New Comic Book Day, and if you don't want to go down to your shop, or you don't know if your shop's going to carry something, of course you can pick it up on Comixology from the comfort of your home, read a digital comic. But in addition to Spider-Man, I also have Cave Carson 11's coming out tomorrow. But I'm going to be picking up this book called Spy Seal by Rich Tommaso. It looks fucking awesome, and it's like this secret agent seal, but he has like human hands, and I don't know, it looks fucking weird, but you guys should Google it if you're interested in that kind of thing. It's like, it's just, I don't know, it's bizarre, and Rich's art is really cool, and he makes some interesting choices with color in this like really subdued kind of way. So I'm very excited to get it. And it's supposed to be like kind of James Bondy kind of thing. So, which is also up my alley. I like that stuff. Yeah, man, so we're putting in these highlights, and then I think I'm gonna run because it's like 3:30 already. All right, this is coming together. We didn't really get into the fan blades on this guy because they weren't really as prominent as these. So let's start to get into that. We're gonna do some quick highlights on the wheels. Because they don't need a ton of work. We're just mimicking the shadows that are up here. And let's do like a little bit on the vent here. And we don't want to do too much too, because we don't want to fight with the hand that's in front of the bike. And we can, we're going to actually tweak that a little bit, because the brown is kind of looking weird. So let's, yeah, it's looking a little better. The gray is looking a little better than the brown that was there. And this guy is all kinds of a mess. He's just got chunks and chunks. I'm on a screen. This thing is out of control. Unfollow and report me. No, don't do that. No, don't do that. Alright. Text looking a little bit better. Let's kind of finish that off, and then I think I'm gonna call it there for the day. It's looking good. We're gonna do a comparison at the end of like what we did today and what we've got left and where we came. I kind of like chipping away at this stuff with you guys. This is like not a format that I normally do, because normally oh man, you know what? We did like a pink shadow, and I'm doing like a gray or a pink highlight, and we did like a gray. Yeah. So if you look down here with the tech, we did like pink highlights. I think as we were doing, you know, that kind of light source. So let's continue that, I guess. In here. But yeah, I do not like, you know, work on something for an hour or 2 hours or an hour and a half or whatever, and then like leave and come back. Usually it's like I sit down and work on it till it's done, and then I move on to the next one kind of thing. But like slowing down a little, talking about my choices, I think there's value in that. I think there's, because we're gonna I've already found like a couple of situations where I was just doing stuff that I normally do all the time, but might have worked like at one time, but doesn't really work anymore. I think there's value in analyzing your techniques. Rubber duck debugging. Yeah, exactly. For those that don't know what rubber duck debugging is, it's when you're programming, you explain the program to a rubber duck out loud, and then you realize, oh shit, I shouldn't do it like that. Like you, by voicing it and explaining it, you've like really thought it through. I think there's value to that with art as well. I think that a lot of times too with art, and this is something that, you know, like I've been kind of like figuring out now, is that like for a long time with comics, I had the goal of like, all right, I just gotta get work. You know, like when you start, it's like a freaking mad dash. And you're just like, all right, what can I do to get work? I need to get work. Let me just do this. Is this working? I don't know. Like we're gonna try something else. Does this get work? I don't know. Like, and for a long time, and it's like very exhausting, and very difficult. And I don't envy people who are breaking in because it's hard. It's hard. But you hit a point after that where you're getting semi-consistent work, and this is with coloring or inking or lettering or whatever, and you hit a point where you're like, I've been getting consistent work and I don't know what the next goal is, you know, and you're just like, now I'm just here, and I think that there's value in slowing down at that point too and thinking about what your goals are. I actually just recently did that, and because I did that, I ended up turning down a couple of projects because I was like, these just don't line up with my goals. And I normally would have taken those projects, but you know, like I sat down, I thought about it, and it's tough too, because like, you know, these are decisions that affect 6 months. You know, like we're going to do 6 issues over the course of a year. That's like, you know, 6 months worth of decisions, 6 months worth of work, and they warrant slowing down, thinking about it, and deciding what you want to do. So I think that even if you are a seasoned artist, I think slowing down, thinking about things, talking out loud is worth it. All right. This is kind of getting away from us because I'm thinking about what I'm talking about. The tech, it also, to be fair, the tech also kind of looks a little weird. Like, it's just kind of like, it looks like freaking just pancakes on top of each other. We're just going to darken them up and hopefully people don't see them. Maybe. Maybe that's the strat. I don't know. Yeah, that looks a little better. I think just like making them semi flat and hoping people don't look is the way to get that done. We got a little bit more time. Let's work on the cop back here. So we're going to take a blue and do shading with him. We're going to put a light source through him with the blue. All right, so here's what we want to keep in mind. He is like, okay, we were talking about how like we don't want the other guy to like compete with Spider-Man's foot. The foot shape is like super legible and hoof-like, as somebody in chat pointed out when you zoom in really close. But when we're up here, I think this guy's like, this shape is much more complicated. And so we have to be aware, like this would have a shine on it. But I think that I want to push it back from where Spider-Man is. And I think that when we start to work on Spider-Man, we may end up tweaking this guy a little bit because they're going to interact with each other in like weird ways. So I'm going to like kind of half ignore what's going on like his lower body here. Maybe put like a little shadow over here or a little highlight over there. We'll fix it later. But we're just going to like work on his chest up here because I think everything else kind of needs to fade into the background a little bit. Because it's not the relevant information that we need to convey. Yeah, so we're going to do his visor. And we also have to keep in mind that we are going to put that other light source in. So, especially on his helmet, because his helmet is like shiny metal kind of thing. So we're gonna make our highlights appropriate. Yeah, this is looking good. So by making our highlights appropriate, what I mean is to say that when you put a secondary light source in, you don't want to put that light source on top of a highlight. You want to put it on top of a shadow. Otherwise, it won't read quite well. And so we're gonna have the secondary light source here and here and here on these shadowed parts. But we're not gonna make like we're not gonna be getting fucking crazy with this light source. We're going to be fairly simple. Yeah, we're not, like, this isn't the bike. It's not made of chrome. Like, this guy is actually a little bit lighter than this guy, but, and we're going to add the little pink as well. Whew, that's bright. All right, we're just adding a little bit of highlight in, a little bit of pink. Put it into the handlebar and stuff. It's like a little highlight so that it pops a little more. The shape looks a little bit weirder because it's tech and it's not his human shape. All right, let's put the green in his helmet. Because that'll make him a little more legible. Because we don't want to have him like, fall. He needs to fall behind Spider-Man, but he needs to also be readable as like, this is an important thing, like in the piece. Because he's yelling at Spider-Man, and that's important. It's important to yell at Spider-Man. Let's face it, that guy doesn't get yelled at enough. Alright, maybe a little bit on the mask there. Perfect. We're just going to pop the bridge of the nose a little bit so that he is also readable as human and not robot. Yeah, that looks perfect. Cool. Let's do a little bit of the green on the leg back here, and a little bit in the hands. And like you can tell too, like, when I talk about like what's important and what's not important to the image, like the line artist, when he worked on this, like he's like just threw that hand in there, like he's not concerned about the structure of this hand. And And the reason for that is because like this is not important to the overall image. Like you're going to be looking here. You're going to be looking at this guy, these girls, Spider-Man. The hand, especially with the word balloon like hanging out on top of it, is not important. So even though we put that like hard green highlight in, I think we're going to fade it a little bit. And it's important to recognize like when, you know, especially, I mean, I don't know if anybody has ever, you know, Color Comics who's in the chat, or like have worked on art as a team or worked on a team in general. Like the best execution is like somebody takes the lead and like you're able to follow, you know, you're able to fucking decipher what's going on. That's kind of like the best way to do this, is to like not fight the line art. If the line art is down and the line art is telling you, hey, you want to be over here, and a good line artist will do that, you want to be over here, then be over there, you know. So we pinked up this guy's shade, his little helmet. So let's do that for this guy as well. Some line artists will not do that just because they either, it's like the way that their style works, as to like, you know, not give you the colorist a lot of direction, or they're just not thinking about it because they're newer or whatever. And that's fine too. That means that, you know, you can just take the reins and like go, you know. But when you do get a road sign, it's important to follow it. So I think we're just about done. Yeah, I think we're just about done for the day. So let's see a comparison of like, you know, like where we started and where we've ended up. Spider-Man, please. All right. So here's where we've ended up. I'm going to save it real quick. I'm going to go back to where we were yesterday. Okay, so where we were yesterday, like these buildings were still competing with everything else because they still had black in them. That was the first thing that we did today. And then we knocked out the black. We made it green to kind of like go with the greenish blue, purple, red, kind of like we're kind of doing on the color wheel like two different two different opposing colors. We're doing red and green, obviously, and then we're doing like and then the purple also kind of like folds into the yellow and the green, like it's kind of plays with itself a little bit. And then we're also doing, so like it kind of like is a fade, like maybe the middle between like green and yellow, and then the middle between like red and purple, or red and blue, you know, like kind of that direction. I don't know. Anyway, and then we're also doing blue and orange with the bikes and Spider-Man. So our goals were to kind of amp that up. So this is where we started today. We punched out the buildings, faded them back by coloring the line art, and then we started to render the vehicles and kind of figure out what we're going to do for the rendering. Here's where we ended up. So if you go back and forth between, you can see like the vehicles right now are like popping forward a little more than they normally did. They're looking a little more 3D, and they're going to continue to look a little more 3D once we start adding special effects and stuff too. So they're popping forward a little, and that's partly because they now have like hard darks and hard lights. So yeah, it's pretty successful. The chrome looks good. No problem there. I love doing chrome, so I'm super excited about it. I'm super excited to hit this car soon. And I think tomorrow we're gonna finish this guy off. All we got left is Spider-Man and the kids in the car and some special effects, and we're gonna be done. Thank you for tuning in. I will see you tomorrow to finish this off. If you like what I'm doing here and you want to support the stream, You can pick up Spider-Man or Deadpool 2099, which is actually right below me right now. Deadpool 29 trade paperback is out tomorrow. While you're in the shop, flip through some Cave Carson. That's new for tomorrow as well. And I'm going to be picking up Rich Tomaso's Spy Seal. You guys should pick that up too. If you don't pick up any of this stuff, that's totally fine. If you do pick up some comic books, come in the chat, hang out with me. Tell me what you bought, why you bought it, why you liked it. Because I always want to hear about new comics. So thanks for hanging out. We'll see you tomorrow.